This morning I'm talking about Agni Yoga and the Chalice. Here's a verse from the book Brotherhood, paragraph 464. It reads, "The chalice, just as the heart, is especially close to the concept of brotherhood. The chalice is the repository of everything loved and precious. Sometimes much that has been gathered into the chalice remains concealed for entire lives. But if the concept of brotherhood has been impressed upon the chalice, it will resound in both joy and yearning in all lives. To people who are cognizant of it, even in an hour of difficulties and clashes, the concept of brotherhood will be a saving factor." Now I'm going to read my notes from the closing of today's talk, and then I'll start at the beginning. Why not? The interesting thing is this: many ages we have lived. In many ages, we have collected beautiful things in our chalice. Some of us built that chalice maybe a little bit, 2, 3, or 4 petals. But Master M said, and I quote, "Many lives that accumulated treasury remains there. But once the concept of brotherhood hits your mind, it resounds and starts to radiate out, and the treasures come." In the book of Revelation, St. John was talking to the angel, and he said, "Who are those multitudes that all have white dresses, beautiful, shining, victorious crowns?" "Oh," said the angel, "these are the people who came from tribulations. They sacrificed their lives continuously. They killed themselves for the welfare of humanity day and night. Eventually, they cleaned all their clothes, their physical, emotional, and mental bodies, and they reached here. These are the masters of wisdom, the great brotherhood that stands as a guide and as a shelter and as a shield for humanity to protect them from cosmic attacks. The Master is saying, if you think about the brotherhood, suddenly you will see the chalice. It is bubbling up, and inspiration is coming. Creativity is coming, because everybody's chalice is a flower in their garden. The chalice, as it is understood in Agni Yoga, is made of pure and higher etheric matter. It is not only a container, as we would imagine, but it is also a device for communication with the higher worlds, and with all symptoms of the human constitution. A device for communication with the higher worlds and with all systems of the human constitution. And as the Master says, it is the repository of everything loved and precious. A human being has their chalice in the higher mental body. Higher ethers are sometimes called cosmic ethers, which form the etheric body of the planetary logos. I know if you're listening to YouTube, some of you may not understand the concepts of what I'm saying, but I have a very long talk to share this morning, and I really don't want to take time to explain all of this, but you can find all the information and research it, in the books of the teaching of Agni Yoga. So let that be your challenge. So it is the chalice which puts us in contact with the logos of our planet. The planetary logos is the soul of the planet. The chalice is the repository of your duties and responsibilities. The chalice is the repository of your duties and responsibilities. When you read about the lives of Nicholas and Helena Rourke, the founders of the Agni Yoga Society, you recognize the responsibilities and duties a person has when their chalice has been impressed by the brotherhood, by hierarchy. When you observe your co-workers, those who are dedicated to building the chalice, you can watch how the burdens of their responsibilities and duties increase, along with their joy and commitment. And you can observe how their humility and virtue increases. You observe how they renounce their personalities, their lower nature. You learn about their, and let me explain something about this when we say lower nature. Our personalities, physical, emotional, mental bodies, are built from the activities, the actions, the experiences of previous lifetimes that are earthly anchored. The higher bodies, our higher mind, our Buddhic body, the Atmic bodies, are all made of the substance of cosmos, the substance of higher ashrams, the substance of the masters, the substance of the energies of Shambhala. So that's why we call it the lower nature, of a person. We don't want our personality to control our life if we are instruments of hierarchy, because that means then our personality life is stronger, more controlling, based on past history of involution, whereas the higher body is all about future. It's all about the plan of hierarchy, the plan of Shambhala. And this is why people who have are building the chalice, and particularly people who have built the chalice, are those whose responsibilities and duties increase and their commitments and dedication increases, and they renounce those personalities. This is why. You will learn about their dedication. You learn about their renunciation and personal sacrifices. You recognize that they have nerves of steel. You learn about their experiences with the brotherhood and the difficulties that they encounter. Building the chalice is not for the faint-hearted. If you know anything about the biography of Helena and Nicholas Rourke, and even their children, Svetoslav and George, you can see how they exemplify, these words. Building the chalice is not for the faint-hearted. Each of us must be very careful to carry our own chalice with self-respect and dignity. We must carry it carefully because our duties and our responsibilities will increase, and the difficulties and clashes will multiply. The disciple will have many challenges and crisis points to pass. Such people must meet each conflict as a warrior of the spirit, steadfast, daring, and powerful. Because of their strenuous preparation and striving, all cracks in their nature will be sealed, and not one precious drop of energy will be wasted on self-pity, anger, doubt, or fear. The chalice will be held upright because it contains the most sacred accumulation of precious jewels in the kingdom. The chalice holds all of your good thoughts, your good emotions, and your good actions, all life-giving substance. The chalice is full of manifested and unmanifested seeds. Sometimes the seeds sprout and bloom in such a way that in this life you become a violinist, a composer, a singer, a teacher of the ageless wisdom, a scientist. In some way, through various conditions or impact of certain energies, the flowers, the petals of your lotus, the chalice, begin to bloom, while many other seeds remain asleep. The accumulations of your many experiences throughout the ages, your knowledge, experience, wisdom, your inspiration, your impressions, your knowledge, your great revelations, all of these things are in your chalice. The chalice is the repository of spiritual consciousness. It is also the repository of your contact with higher energies. It is a seat of greater contact with the creativity within your true and higher self. It holds the contact with the genius who is sleeping within your nature. When you touch this center, you release a tremendous amount of energy and electricity in your system. If your vehicles have small cracks in them, they will not be able to hold the energy, and the energy is going to escape. When this happens, you will be out of control and at the mercy of the unleashed energy which is exhausting itself in one of your vehicles. Again, this is something I would so love to talk about and explain, but I prefer to get to through the whole of the talk. So just something to think about. There's a verse in Supramundane where the master is talking about those who want to build the chalice, about those who want to serve hierarchy and humanity. He warns us that those who are building the chalice and will carry the chalice will be severely tested. Keep in mind, he's not just only talking about an individual, but more likely, group. The group will be severely tested because the group, like the individual, eventually will have a chalice. So this verse says, each one who wishes to serve with us knows, us meaning hierarchy, knows that he will have to endure the assaults of darkness. In words, everyone is ready to do this. But in deeds, we'll try to avoid it. Does no one realize that every deviation lengthens his path? Combat with darkness is unavoidable, and the waves of chaos will engulf bold fighters. Let them learn first about the difficulties of the journey and clearly understand the fight with darkness. Let them not hope to avoid it. The path to joy cannot be easy. There will also be joy. So the Master M is warning us that there are dangers in building the chalice. It takes heroes to build the chalice, not physical muscles. Anybody can build brute strength. As my son keeps showing me his muscles, anybody can build physical muscles. But it takes heroes to build the chalice. He'll kill me. The more you want to be good, you find out that the more people become ugly against you. The more you become harmless, people try to be more harmful towards you. The more you forgive, the more they hate you. That is the friction, however. Friction by fire, right? That is the friction that eventually creates the blooming of your chalice. So challenges help your chalice to be constructed. Grace is related to the chalice. Our spiritual bank account is our chalice. One minute you see you are going to die. The next minute you are alive. This has happened to me 6 times. Within seconds, I knew I was a goner, literally. And then those next few seconds, I was still here. How does that happen? The chalice protects us. Your chalice paid your debt. Sometimes you have a strong need for a question to be answered. What to do? Should I do this or should I do that? The chalice will give you hints. All of these experiences are grace. Some people will say, well, how do I know? You know. There's no logic, there's no reason, there's no mental gyrations. You know. The nice thing about this kind of an account is that you can never lose it. If it pays one of your debts, your chalice will not decrease. Like our bank accounts, you spend the money, it's gone. This is very different with the chalice. The chalice always accumulates. But there is one danger, and the danger is that when the records of your evil deeds increase in your permanent atoms more than your bank may not be able to rescue you. As you build the chalice, you become beautiful. The more beautiful you become, the more you respect beauty. The more spiritual you become, the more you attract spiritual people. Every achievement increases your magnetism, your power to attract people. To build your chalice requires something from us. And I'm sure this will come as no surprise to you. The requirement is that we must get rid of our ego and also our vanities. Wow. Okay, well, that's easy. But truly, are we ready to do that? So what are the signs that we have an ego? An ego demands things. An ego tries to impose its will or forces things. It is selfish and touchy. An ego tries to give orders without being in a position of command. An ego thinks it is very important. An ego wants to be praised. An ego shows off and enjoys doing so. An ego tries to find errors or failures in others to feel better about itself. So the chalice is found in the higher mind. This is something that's always been curious to me, but I finally figured it out. Chalice, lotus. These are 2 terms that are used interchangeably. The chalice is the chalice of the lotus. That's your answer. That's why both of those terms are used interchangeably. The chalice is the chalice of the lotus. Okay, so the chalice is just like a lotus. It has 12 petals. The last 3 petals, number 10, number 11, number 12, protect the jewel, the human soul. So the jewel of the lotus is your human soul and keeps it concealed. These 3 petals keep that soul concealed. But this is very important to think about and to remember. Everything we think, everything we feel and do goes into our mechanism into our computer, but nothing goes into the chalice unless it is related to knowledge, love, and sacrificial acts. Now, what's happening here is it goes into the permanent atoms, and the permanent atoms are like the sediment of the chalice, of the lotus. And this is what we are trying to purify. So what is good rises to the top, right? Cream rises to the top, and that's what goes into the chalice. The petals record, the petals, not the atoms, the petals record only those actions, words, feelings, motives, and thoughts that are related to pure knowledge, pure love, and real sacrificial service. What I have just shared with you has taken 35 years to figure out. So you are fortunate to hear these things, unless you already know it, and I doubt it. Excuse me. Knowledge. Science from 400 years ago seemed as if it was absolute truth. But today we know it wasn't. 2,000 years into the future, we may see that our science was not really telling us pure truths, but it was a bridge to lead us into higher sciences. The real truth is a fact in cosmos that never changes. Think about this. The real truth is a fact in cosmos that never changes, and drop by drop accumulates into that chalice. Love. The chalice holds all loving actions, all related to love wisdom. For example, take a look at your actions, your thoughts, your emotions, your motives, everything that you think, everything that you speak that is related to pure love without any mixture of poison and pollution, that real love that you give to others, the real love that you express accumulations, drop by drop into that chalice, occurs because the love petals distill them and only take the true love that exists. For example, you say, I love you, but you really don't. The real love that you demonstrate from the bottom of your heart, in essence, that love becomes the drops of bliss and accumulates in the chalice. Sacrifice. Sacrificial actions accumulate in the chalice. How much can we sacrifice for others, for our family, our nation, for humanity? What really can you sacrifice? If you really are heroic and sacrificial in your thinking, in your motives, in your speech, in your actions, then drop by drop the chalice will be filled with three essences: knowledge essence, love essence, and sacrificial essence. You will have a beautiful full chalice to be used at the time of your disasters and at the time you are in need. This is the grace that we hear about. Grace is the accumulated sacrifice in your chalice. Agni Yoga indicates this. There's a quote. I don't know where it's quoted from. Somewhere in Agni Yoga. Okay. I'm looking at my notes and I can't see a darn thing. Okay. So the Agni Yoga indicates the chalice, when unfolded, can communicate with other unfolding chalices. This is such a powerful statement, but it's a powerful experience. When you have such experiences, how can I say this? People who think they have power are like little raisins. They have nothing. They're just dried up little pieces of fruit. You know, when your chalice begins to communicate with other chalices, it's not only communicating with the chalices of human beings, but the chalices of the master, the chalice of an ashram, the chalice of Christ. There are chalices throughout cosmos that are stations that we would recognize as spheres of consciousness. These chalices are made of the knowledge and love and sacrifice of great ones. Just think about this. And if you're able to communicate, let's say that you can communicate with the chalice of Helena Rourke. Think what that will mean to you and the work that you can do. Just think about it. Chalices can draw treasures from other chalices and use them for the service of humanity. Have you had such recognizable experiences? See, some people will say, oh, I received inspiration from my solar angel. You need to know the difference. The solar angel is here for you. The chalice, your chalice, when it communicates with other chalices, like the Rourkes, like Master M, like Master Kutumi, it's about humanity. We see evidence of this truth within our group life and within our sister groups. We bring our talents and resources to the group, which combines with the talents and resources of others in the group. This is one example of how the chalices of one another are in communication. This exchange of communication can be visible or invisible. For example, your teacher finds some of the beauty of their chalice, lends some of the beauty of their chalice when you are in need. For a while you feel so high, but then you return to your normal level of consciousness. Or you may be sick and unable to heal yourself. If your life is deserving and your karma allows, your teacher can send you a ray from their chalice and help you to heal. But you say the drugs did it. There's so much we don't understand, and because we don't see it yet or feel it. We give freely of our talents and resources to one another and to the group, which builds the treasury of the group and groups. For those who are sensitive to the group chalice, they can draw from that chalice to increase true love, knowledge, and power, which will strengthen their own hands and feet for group and humanitarian service. The teacher shares their treasury with the students and disciples in the group, just as the Gohans give their treasury to the masters, who loan their treasury of knowledge, love, and power to their ashrams, found on the different planes of consciousness, from the astral to the Buddhic. I have notes here. Joleen, if you run out of time. So I think I can go to this next section. We'll see. And then, maybe I can do this. Okay. In Lisa Moria's garden, verse 404, it says, endeavor not to spill the chalice. It is not uncommon to see a person with power, with knowledge, with talents, and so forth, to spill their chalice. Isn't that interesting? Through a big ego and vanity, through dishonesty and certain criminal activities, because of their power, their money, their this and that, they puff up like a little blowfish and eventually become a slave to these things. A slave to their money, a slave to their position, a slave to their self-importance. When this happens, they lose contact with the ray of beauty, and they become manipulating, intimidating, and they exploit others. They no longer stand for the unifying Christ principle, the principle of love, and when these things happen, they have spilled the seeds of their chalice. It means they will have to once again go through several lifetimes of suffering and pain and dedicated service and sacrifice before they can build their chalice once again. Spilling the seeds of your chalice is serious to one who is on the evolutionary path. In extreme situations, we can lose what we accumulated because we wasted what we gave to the chalice through extreme misuse. Misuse is to go against the evolutionary forces. In New Era Community, verse 74, it says, we must uplift our chalice. This means we must not hide our light and love and beauty from others, but it means we must demonstrate it through our work. See, not by bragging about who we are, but by our work. Let our work be the expression of light and love and beauty. Also, it must demonstrate in our relationships, because in our labor we reflect hierarchy and the other worlds. If you recognize that your talent, your resources are from the chalice, then is it not your duty to protect it and to manifest it in the most righteous way? Is it not your duty to protect the treasures which blossom forth through you and to us? How do we protect our chalice? As Nicholas Rourke wrote, it has been repeatedly, and I'm quoting, it has been repeatedly inscribed on the scrolls of command that a spiritual garden is in daily need of the same watering as a garden of flowers. If we still consider flowers as precious ornaments of our life, then how much more must we remember and prescribe to the creative values of the Spirit which surrounds us? He also said, let us then, with untiring, eternal vigilance, benevolently mark the manifestations of our co-workers, and let us strive in every possible way to ease the path of heroic achievement. Maya Angelou wrote, how important it is for us to recognize and celebrate our heroes and sheroes. Remember that? The treasury of your chalice, the chalice of the group, the chalice of the teaching, must be cared for in the most benevolent of conditions. How do we create the most benevolent conditions? By advancing the standard of our life and the group life. by continuing on the work of our self-sacrificing teachers and sowing their seeds. It really helps just to read my notes. I think I'm going to get through this. It's very hard. Okay. How to build the chalice. Through steady striving. That's how we build the chalice. Through steady striving. Don't give up. Don't become inert. Steady meditation. Steady service. Steady study. Steady study. I'm sorry. An application of your studies and steady service. Okay, we're going to build the chalice petal by petal within our innermost world by continuous dedication. So dedication is a key word. Continuous dedication is what? It's sacrifice. It is service. It is labor. We will build the chalice by continuous dedication to improve the life on this planet, to strive to improve the life of humanity. Are you really sacrificing yourself to improve the life of this planet, the life of your group, the life of your family, or are you polluting it day and night? Are you harmless in all your thoughts and words, expressions, relationships, actions? We must face ourselves and see how harmless we are being or not, and what degree we are being harmless. Where and how are we harmless? You can be a millionaire, but if harmlessness is not dwelling in your heart, in your spirit, and you are not harmless, then you are building on a shaky foundation. And your chalice, your real abode, is going to be destroyed the moment that you pass. People today are so busy with their money making, with their building of their vanity and ego and their sense of self-importance, that they do not have time to think about these things. But it will be too late if we wait until we are on our deathbeds. Meditation builds the chalice. What is meditation? I don't know. I'm too busy to meditate. That was not in my notes. What is meditation? It is a moment of stretching your mental body to the light of God and pulling a piece of that light into your consciousness and building your mental body. You are drawing the light of that almighty presence and building your light in it with daily meditation. 1 minute, 10 minutes, half an hour. How are you going to meditate? You can take a holy book and find a sentence and think about it. Use any holy book you want. Find something very beautiful for 15 minutes and you will feel something is building there. Then, through your motives and your actions and words and thoughts, ask yourself, why am I doing that? Why did I say that? Why did I think that way? What was my motive? Was it involving the interest and beauty of everybody else, or was it selfish and destructive and revengeful and full of malice and slander? Was it to make me look good, to build a false image about myself? Well, motive. What is motive? Pure motives build our chalice. Pure motives build our chalice step by step. I know these things are difficult and most people are not ready for it, but the teaching thinks we're ready for it, and so we talk about it. So we're planting seeds, good seeds for our future. We must dedicate ourselves to human welfare, and we must be harmless. Every minute we are going to fight against the crystallization that have been built within us age after age. Say to yourself, I really, really want to be harmless. How are we going to build a beautiful future, a new world? You know, the esoteric community is talking about a new civilization. It's time to build the new civilization. Honestly, it's been time for a long time. You know, the Rourkes tried to build a new country. We weren't ready for it. The world was not ready for it, but they planted the seeds. So now it's like maybe the sun is shining on those seeds that the Rourkes planted, and some of the disciples are picking up and thinking it's a new idea. We're going to build a new civilization. Well, that means for us building the chalice. To build a new civilization means to build the chalice. Building our chalice means to go against our false nature. It means we are going to go against ourself, our little s self. It is so difficult. It is easy to go against others, but not to go against ourselves. It is the most difficult thing. And when you catch yourself and slowly go against yourself, that's when you are building the chalice within you. Are you cooperative? Cooperative with those who are spreading beauty and goodness and justice and joy and freedom? Are you supporting them in action or just through your anger? I'm standing for Elizabeth Warren. Or all these other people, the 22 people that are running in this country for the Democratic Party for next year's election. Or are you behind them? Are you joining, their what do you call it? Their support team? Are you saying, no, I believe in this? No, that's just stupid. You're spending energy, but you're not putting anything behind it except your brute force. So are we cooperating with those who are spreading beauty and goodness and justice and joy and freedom and abundance and prosperity and so on? Are we cooperating with them? Think about how you can cooperate with those people who are involved in these things. How do we build group consciousness when everyone is so individualistic? They are. Everything belongs to them. They're egotistic, they're individualistic, and only they exist. Group consciousness is totally different. Group consciousness is sensitivity to the needs of other people, to their problems. How to help them. The more group conscious we are, the more elevated we are in our own consciousness. Sitting and watching TV and making business and money for your own self will never lead you to the temple, to the tower. How much are you thinking about the needs of your family, about the needs of your group, and about humanity? Do you care about them, about their needs? If you do, take action and show your group consciousness. This is the beginning, and it is very difficult. Group consciousness means to destroy the cages that you build within your mind. Those cages that you've built for ages and ages. And then finally, did you have a moment, maybe this month, where you forgot yourself for somebody else? That is the test. If you did it, one drop, one penny went into your purse. If you did not, then you lost it, and you lost the opportunity. I did it. You can see, taking a lecture like today, this is a condensed lecture. There's so many ideas in this talk. If you just extract one idea and start thinking about it, with the underlying premise in my building, the Chalice, you'll be giving yourself a wonderful gift.